Hey guys, welcome to JasonWhiskyWise and myself, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 40, where we're going to review something a little bit more special. From the last video, continuing off, we're going to review the Hibiki 17-year-old. Now, hopefully you could see that. If not, I'll put like a little spinning one over here. But I'm going to put the bottle over there so you see exactly what we're reviewing today. So the Hibiki 17-year-old. This is one that I've been wanting to get my hands on, a full bottle, as just in the last episode I reviewed the 12, and so we're going to pour ourselves a dram and get into the review itself. So Hibiki is actually a blended whiskey. It comes from the Yamazaki, well, they use a combination of Yamazaki, Hakushu, Cheetah, and a few of the other whiskies from the Suntory whiskey portfolio. So got quite a lot going on in this whiskey, and I got this dram from Drinks by the Dram, so I think they still have miniatures available. So I've done a little bit of notes as well, which I'll do in this video, and we'll begin with my review style structure, which this whiskey, in terms of age-wise, is a 17-year-old whiskey. So the youngest whiskey going into here is 17. You can have something even older in this whiskey. Now, in terms of ABV-wise, you're looking at 43% ABV, and pretty much all the Hibikis are around about 43% starting. In terms of the cask selection, there is no specific one, but they do have a combination, as I've stated before, of Yamazaki, Hakushu, Cheetah, and a few of the other Suntory whiskies. Now, as it is a blended whiskey, I will not state the distillery, but in terms of the parent company, it is a Suntory whiskey company. So Suntory do own pretty much quite a lot of all the Japanese whiskies, and they also have a branch which is Beam Suntory. So in terms also of the region, pretty much it is Japan. And the price point of view, which I've actually written over here, this is a price I did check from the past and comparing it to the present. So in the past, a year or two ago, it was £124 for that bottle over there. So that's a 70 cl bottle, £124, which is not too bad. Current price today, you're looking at £250 to £300 for the exact same bottle. You're looking at around about 2.5 times price increase, which is drastic stuff, and that's because when the Japanese whiskies going through their current Japanese hype, you're looking at a lot of them going up massively in price, heavily inflated, and personally, something to be a bit careful about when you're buying your Japanese whiskies. Now, in terms of exclusivity, I'm going to say it is a mixture of yes and no. The reason behind is I did see a bottle of this one when I was shopping in Edinburgh, but the reason I'm going to say no is because you don't see it as often as you would have seen in the past. And that's why, if you look at supply and demand, the price has drastically gone up because there is less of it in the market. So next up is the actual question of caramel colouring, and I'm not going to specify because it's a blend, so I'm not too sure exactly which distillery does caramel or not. So we'll just say as an NA for now. So next up, we're going to move into the actual assessment of the colour of this whiskey, and it is a little bit lighter than the Hibiki 12, which is actually kind of surprising. So if you look at that over there, I'm going to see if you can hold it up with the background. That's why I've got a white background, guys, so you can actually see the colour of the whiskey, and makes it a little bit easier on the eyes. Ooh, lovely nose. So anyway, I'm going to go with more towards an amber colour in this whiskey. So next, we're going to move into assessing the nose for this whiskey. So to begin the actual assessment on the nose, and I've actually written my notes because I did the review a little while back, and I'm doing a comparative sort of thing, you do get a nice fruity floral nose, and this is sort of more towards, as I've written here, I'm getting a bit of sultanas, definitely peaches and apricots. I'm getting those nice fresh peaches and apricots, a little bit of nectarine, giving that little bit of citrusy zing there, and then straight behind that I'm getting hints of sort of lemon, but over here I've written lemongrass. I'm thinking more towards lemon zest, but no, I can definitely see the lemongrass now. It just sort of builds up. You get that sort of more florally note. It's very fruity on the nose, which is just so enjoyable. It's a complete difference compared to the 12-year-old Hibiki. So a little bit of vanilla sits in just behind the back, and then from there you're going to get a little bit of what candied ginger, giving its warmth and just letting you know there is a slight spice developing on the nose. And if you look a little bit deeper into this whiskey, those floral notes do develop, and you're looking more towards a little bit of lavender, cherry blossom. And what was the other one I've written over here? I've written rose water. So it is ever so gentle on the end of the nose. I definitely recommend taking a little bit of time, because this review, I'm just speeding it up. But when I did this one, it took around about half an hour just to sit there and get all my notes out. but definitely getting those little honey blossoms playing themselves there on the back. So anyway, next let's move into the palate for this whiskey. So my initial impression of the first tasting, quite light on the palate, light medium to begin with the texture. First thing that definitely comes to mind is those plums, a little bit of dried apricots, a little bit of figs, and then it sort of develops ever so slightly. Over here I've got a little bit of sun-dried sultanas, but you pick them up after a little period of time and more or less getting that little bit of a white peppery spice element, but just soft spice, ever so gentle. And then right behind that, it develops off more into sort of like stewed pears and a little bit of toffee notes, giving it a little bit of sweetness. So I'm going to have a second tasting, see what other notes, and just compare it again, what I've written here. So from the second tasting, I'm definitely picking out that little bit of peppery note as it finishes and fades. And then right behind that, I'm getting the lime. And more towards lime zest. And it works itself into a nice creamy vanilla where it just sort of lingers all around. It's just sort of all the flavors are just combined together. It's so gentle. This one doesn't give you any sting. It's just a soft little bit of spice, and those fruity notes are just sort of sitting there and just so delicate around the palate. Really, really nice on the palate. So next we're going to move into the finish for this whiskey. So into the finish for this whiskey, I'm more or less feeling like a little bit of a coca powder, which really just sort of gives it a little bit of bittery note to it. But then right behind that, I'm getting dried oaky notes, a little bit of dried fruits, and hints of pomegranate. It's a little bit of the way in which it dries, but you're still getting that little burst of flavor. Really interesting, and it's sort of got more towards, I'd say, a medium finish. Not really long, it sort of just stays there for a little while and just sort of lingers as it fades ever so slightly, and no spice on the finish of this whiskey. So really enjoyable. So next up I'm going to give my actual rating for this whiskey, and this is actually kind of an easy one for me. So the actual rating I'm going to give this one here, if I can put that correctly, I'm giving this one a 90 out of 100. The reason behind this one is it's a fantastic whiskey. It's so well balanced. You're getting a little bit of sweetness, the floral notes, and ever so little spice, and that's what the determining factor is in terms of also one of this part of this review, because the spice on the 12 I felt was too overpowering, and this one sort of just lets it all combine together, and the spices ever just a little bursts on the palate and on the finish, and so it doesn't really sting the palate too much. It lets you really just sit there and enjoy it. So in terms of also the price point of view, do I think it's value for money? Currently at its $250 price tag to $300, I'd have to say no. I think if you can get this anywhere under £150, you can't really go wrong because it's such an enjoyable whiskey, but I personally would not pay anything over $150. I think that's just asking a bit too much, especially when you're getting a 17-year-old whiskey. I know it's unique, it's from Japan, but price point of view, anything over $150, even up to maybe $170, I would stretch. I would say anything over that, I'd say it wouldn't be worth it. So that's why I pulled the rating down and given it a 90 out of 100. But otherwise, I think this is a fantastic one. Definitely recommend, if you do like your Japanese whiskies, try the Hibiki 17. I'm going to look forward to hopefully trying the 21 at some point, but that's going to be a little bit of a search for me, so I'm going to have to look for that one in the upcoming weeks. But anyway, that's going to end the review here. Would I actually recommend adding water to this whiskey? I would say no, because just enjoy it for the natural soft, fruity and floral notes, and you'll really find this a superb blended whiskey. So anyway, on that note, check out the Hibiki 12 over here, which I reviewed last time, and be sure to click the subscribe button, should be over there. So be up to date with all my videos, and follow me for literally every other sort of whiskey review which I'll be recording and uploading in the upcoming weeks. So also check out my social medias, which should be there. I've got Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and my WordPress for my blog. So this has been Jason from WhiskyWise, and I'll catch you all for the next video.